Well, buried with nature. Those were the words allegedly written on a ransom note involving Nancy Guthrie. Those words are, of course, horrifying to think about, but if true, could offer some sort of closure for her family, who are rightfully going out of their minds with agony. So where do we go from here? That's where a new study out of Arizona State University comes in. Now, what I'm about to explain is not for the squeamish, but there is science to it. Researchers took dead pig bodies and put them in human clothing to look at how decomposition occurs in the Arizona desert. What they found is that corpses could actually leave clues behind long after they've been moved. Joining us now is Allison Weiner, NewsNation senior investigative producer and author of Murder and the Media, out now. Great to see you, Allison. So Brian Enton recently sat down with ASU professor Pam Marshall, who worked on this study that could be helpful in finding more information about where Nancy Guthrie has been. Take a listen.
There are very powerful computing tools and some AI that will then tell you what microbes are there in that, what microbe DNA was there. They could
in
have
the
been
soil
alive or not alive in the soil.
So applying this to the real world, if there was a person that was killed, that was dumped in the desert, and then someone went back out to move them again, a year later, could they find evidence there? Does this mean that they could find evidence that the person was there?
Yes, absolutely.
So, Allison, can you tell us more about the study and whether you think it'd be helpful in the investigation?
Yes, I mean, it's an interesting thing because Brian and I have spent a lot of time in Tucson covering this case, and we became aware of this study by Dr. Marshall. It's also Dr. Bolhoffner, and it was started by a undergraduate, a student there, a graduate student, Jennifer Salinas at University at Arizona State University. Anyway, what we've heard about the Guthrie case has been a reluctance to search in the desert. There's nothing that we can find. The desert conditions in Arizona are hot. You'll never find anything. Even if somebody had left her body there in nature, which we just recently found out about, then you're not going to find anything. But that's not the case. In this study, we found out, or they found out, that it's like the murder victim is leaving a signature of themselves in the soil. So if they were lucky enough or able to find the place where Nancy Guthrie's body had been buried or were placed, because the Arizona desert, what we learned from Dr. Marshall, is very hard to dig in. In fact, you probably have to bring in construction tools in order to get beneath the soil. But when that body was left, when the pig bodies were left there for a year, you could come back and you can find evidence in the soil, bacterial evidence, even the clothing leaves evidence in the soil as it decomposes. So if there were to be, other factors that move the bones and you can't find the DNA, that kind of thing, there's another way to be able to identify. And I thought it was pretty startling, and it made me and Brian think, wow, they really should have taken the Cajun Navy up on the opportunity to search in that area.
Absolutely.
And especially in light of what we've learned. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, there have been volunteers and people that have offered, but the Cajun Navy has a way of doing this where they work with the police so that they don't do something wrong, or
I mean, to say that they just can't, they're not going to search because the desert's big and too hot is just absolutely absurd. It's a weird thing to say, given they still haven't found Nancy or potentially her abductors and suspects. But there are reports about the ransom notes that they may have come from Nancy's abductors, saying that she was buried in nature, as we've been talking about, but that they also regret that she died. So how does that play into the investigation with the authorities, and what could it say about the intent of the abductors if these ransom notes are actually real?
It wasn't exact. First of all, Savannah had said that two of them she believed to be real. And in one of those notes, there was an acknowledgement that Nancy died after the abduction, and that it wasn't intentional. There was no mention, at least from our reporting, that there was any apology or regret. But I think what you see from these notes, what I've heard from some of the FBI profilers that we've interviewed for NewsNation, is that there is an effort to kind of distance themselves from what actually occurred. And it's rather almost silly if you know anything about the law, because regardless of whether you intend for somebody to perish, if you engage in a felony kidnapping, which is what occurred here, then anything that happens after that is also a felony murder. So
do you think that's why they haven't taken the award, because they don't want to deal with the criminal consequences?
You know what? I mean, again, I'm just speculating, but after a lot of, I have a legal background, and my speculation really is that if Nancy's body were to be found, or the location where that body had been left, that there would be additional evidence in this case. And I think there's no upside to that. I don't know. I think we fail ourselves, at least according to retired FBI profilers that I've spoken with. We make a mistake in assuming that someone that could do something like this is expressing regret, or rather just even subconsciously convincing themselves that they weren't particularly responsible for Mrs. Guthrie's death.
But she's not home, and we don't know exactly what happened to her. So until we do, Allison Weiner, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.